You know, when I listen to ECOWAS through the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, saying, we are going to bomb you, we are going to invade you, I knew that they were simply engaged in what metaphorically is defined as gunboat diplomacy. But the resolve that emanated from Burkina Faso, from Guinea-Conakry, and also from Niamey, Niger, was quite clear that we are going to defend ourselves, and it's not going to be a cakewalk. It's going to be difficult if you choose to invade. And I think that the decision that they made to simply coalesce and quickly say that an attack on Niger is an attack on Guinea, is an attack on Burkina Faso, and you can see that it's not something that is informed by mere impulse. On the 3rd day of December 2023, they met and have now declared that they are going to form a confederation. This is very Nkrumahist. It is the same thing that Kwame Nkrumah and Modibo Keita were talking about with Mali and Ahmed Sékou Touré at that time.
Look at the ECOWAS membership. Only 2 countries have not had coups. Only Cape Verde and Senegal. So you can understand the quagmire ECOWAS finds itself in. Credibility crisis, lacking the moral right. All of these countries, when coups happen, the Nigerians will tell you, why was there not an intervention? From, I mean, if you do the counting, since ECOWAS was established in 1975, there has been about 126 coups. Over the last 3 years, there have been 6 coups already. 2 in Mali, 2 in Burkina Faso. So there's a real credibility crisis. And this attempt to now say, you see, we must be hardlined, we must use force, and that will serve as a deterrent. I am afraid I take a totally different view. I do not think that military intervention is what will stem the tide. Rather, they should look at the causative factors. All of this bad leadership, people using democracy to entrench themselves, to kill their people. Look at how many opposition leaders have been imprisoned in Senegal, how many protesters have been shot in Senegal by a democratically elected leader. Look at the state of unemployment on the continent. Look at the state of corruption. Niger, if you look at all the UN multidimensional poverty analysis, is below the ladder, the poorest, and yet they have uranium. Yet they have this pipeline which others are leveraging to advance their economic interest. And the masses, will you believe that about 80% of the people in Niger don't have access to electricity? Can you believe that? Basic amenities. And only a few elites enjoy. Once they go into these negotiations and their family cronies get a good piece of the pie, the rest can go to hell. Then the elephant in the room, if you look at this new wave of coups, they are all happening in Francophone Africa. We must be honest to have a discussion about the French hegemony in the sub-region. This Charles de Gaulle pact must give way. There is great resentment on the continent against this influence of France. As we all say, the French never left. The Brits, if you look at the decolonization, the disengagement, they left fully, we became Republican status and all of that. You can't say same of the French. And the masses are rebelling. One factor that these ECOWAS leaders haven't considered is look at the level of popularity. If anybody tells you that these coups are not popular, look, I have friends in Niger. I have done my own independent analysis because I know that during these times there's a lot of propaganda. Talk to people on the ground, talk to ordinary people. It was the same in Mali, the same in Burkina Faso. So what is democracy really? Isn't it about what the masses want, what the majority want? So we must have a discussion about that French hegemony. And France itself, and I noticed that in the early days of President Macron, he tried to offer a new partnership, some new framework, but he has not been deep and far-reaching. That discussion must be held. Look at the demonstration in Niger and the chants. But I must add, though, that in as much as a Pan-Africanist, I am against any form of oppression, any form of colonization. I denounce what is happening now, where people are chanting down with France and yet are flying Russian flags. Don't move from one master to another. We must find a Pan-African solution to our economic crisis. Absolutely. We must have an African solution.
As African member states, we do not wish to gather here next year with no progress made on the African Union's Zuluini consensus, which demands that 2 permanent seats with veto power and 5 non-permanent seats must go to Africa. So, following the strong signal of support from the U.S. government, we expect to see this matter on its way to the United Nations Security Council to be tabled, to be heard, and to be settled. That is the UN we want. That is the UN the world needs. A reformed UN that practices the equality and democracy it preaches. A reformed UN that is not constantly polarized by nuclear power, stuck in Cold War mindsets.
Let the African COP be an action COP. Politicians, when you stand up to talk, my generation requests that speak like there is an emergency. Speak like you are not barren. Act like you have an access on Earth, because this is the only planet where we're going to carry on your legacy as your children. Men in office, how are you going to be remembered? Do you wish to be remembered as one who did a lot of nothing while in power?
So it's true. It is true that now a UN, ECOWAS, and other organizations which have been keeping Africa intact, which have been controlling Africa, making Africa to feel like we are so represented, we are so well secured. But in real sense, we are not. We are not even 10%, because these organizations are the same which are being used as umbrellas, just to make sure that to make Africa, the foreign leaders, to access to African resources, to access to African countries and continent, just to continue exploiting, coming to brainwash and manipulate African leaders that we are coming to help. But behind the curtain, they are coming to destroy. So today, UN and UN, ECOWAS, and other organizations are so trembled, so worried over African unity. Why? We started to experience this during the UN summit in New York, where we saw our African leaders really being humiliated, being lectured, not being respected by the foreign leaders, whom they feel like they're so superior than any other leader. When it comes to leadership, I do believe personally that there is no any superior leader than other. More so, do you say the head of states, the African leaders like presidents? So there is no way that a president from France, Macron, can be humiliating or assaulting African leader like a Ruto, or the Namibian president, or Ghanaian president John Mahama, just because he's a white leader, he's a white president. These all 2 leaders have been elected. These African leaders, or the black leaders, they were elected by millions of people who woke up very early in the morning, and they go to vote for them with millions of votes. They did this because they believed in them, they trusted in them, they put their hopes in them. That's why they wake up very early in the morning to go and make their decision of electing them. And again, these are the leaders who are governing the countries which are sitting on the top of all the minerals richness, which is making the foreign leaders to come each and every day to find new ways on how to exploit, how to control all, manipulate African leaders, that they are coming to protect them, they are coming to help them. But behind it all, they are coming to continue to looting, taking, and exploiting African continent. So this is not allowed. So that's why I am behind every leader who is moving out of ECOWAS. I am in support of every leader who is moving out of UN, And I even remember the statement of Dr. Arikana when he was addressing the nation, the medias, and said clearly that he don't see the reason of African leaders going to attend UN summits, because they are going to attend these summits using the country's revenues, the peoples that could have helped some people in the country, that have changed something in the country's economy, and they spend this money to go and attend the summits in UN, whereby they come back to their countries with nothing in return that can help their people, that can help their countries. Yet they are going to attend the summits, spending all this money, but again they are being humiliated by the leaders who feel so superior than them. They are going to sit down and listen to other leaders as they lecture them, as they assault them. You remember all those who are following up the UN summit just a few weeks ago. Donald Trump was very strong and confidently, as he was speaking, telling African leaders that your governments are going to hell, because he don't recognize any African leaders as a leader. He just sees them as a puppet, as the puppets, as a slave who has been crowned. So I support this. In African United, if Africa united, then politically and economic, if Africa united politically and economically, one currency, one military, one voice at the UN, it will control the world's largest mineral wealth, represent over 1.4 billion people with massive voting power at the UN. It will reduce dependency on Western loans, aids, and foreign policies. So that will completely shift global power, and many powerful nations and even some African elites fear losing the control. Because today we don't just speak about the foreigners, because their aids, their loans are the things which are keeping Africa on toes, are the same things which are keeping Africa in a situation, in a certain level whereby we feel like if we lose the relationship between we Africans and the foreigners, then we are going to lose everything. We believe that when Kenya lose its friendship or its diplomatic relationship with Britain, then we are going to lose a lot of help. That is how they trained us to believe. That's how they trained Africa. That's what they installed in Africans' mentality, that we cannot survive without them. And they made Africans to believe this. But in real sense, we as Africans, the Africans who have realized themselves, who know who they are, we know that the Europe, Britain, America cannot survive without Africa, because we need nothing from them for us to survive, but they need everything from us to survive. Take an example of the country like France today. What is happening? The country of France has trembled. Economy has collapsed. The people are out of power. They don't want their government. They don't want any association with their President Macron, because they are so tired, they're so oppressed. The country is bankrupt. So this means that we can survive without them, but they can survive without Africa. So all this mentality that they install in African minds, so that we can be believing that we cannot survive without them. That's how they captured African minds. So it is possible, and it is possible today. ECOWAS is trembling, is worried. UN is confused over African unity, over African freedom. I remember the speech of the UN president, Madam, I don't know his name, Madam, as he was saying that for the countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, their returning back to ECOWAS is a must, but not a request, because no any African country is allowed to work outside ECOWAS. And you know why? Because ECOWAS is just a tool, an umbrella that is being used by the foreigners to come and cross to access to African resources. They are using this organization. We feel like we are so well represented through ECOWAS. We are so well represented through UN, but no any problem or issue is being handled while it is affecting Africa by these organizations. All these problems are affecting African countries. People are dying, their animals suffering, losing their properties just because of floods. But there is no day I've seen UN or ECOWAS calling a summit, an emergency summit, to sit down and handle or settle these issues that is affecting these Africans. We have many refugees here in Africa. They are the one who caused in Africa to have refugees. Do you remember the first time the Belgium had started to attack Congo? They killed millions of Congolese. From there, we have large number of refugees who are Congolese. So they are the one who created this. They are the cause, and they're coming behind, pretending to be the savior of the problem they caused. So they fear the unity of Africa, because when Africa unites, they are uniting because they know the truth. And when they know the truth, they are not ready to work or to cooperate with the people who cause the problems that they are affecting today. They are not ready to be manipulated again. They are not ready to sell out or surrender their own richness to the people who are not even concerned about their problems or their issues, but they are only here to chase their own dreams and their own agendas. So the UN system is only to keep Africa split, make African continent divided. Because the UN was signed after the World War II, when Africa was mostly colonized. That's when UN was formed. And the reasons why UN was formed is to Permanent Security Council seats, is for the Permanent Seats Council to handle the problems that was affecting the world, which are the members, the countries which are the members to UN. So permanent Security Council seats belong to Western and Asian powers. None of them are from Africa. And these are the bigger seats which holds the great power, which controls 80% of the organizations. But they are given to Asians and Westerners. No any African leader has been signed or given to these positions. African countries often vote individually, not as one bloc, making them easier to influence. So, real unity will make Africa harder to manipulate, which threatens the balance of power. Dr. William Ruto once come to speak about this issue, because he was saying that it has come to the point where now Africa has to unite. And once they unite, they have to form a bloc. Once they form a bloc, they have someone who is a representative. Then when they go to a summit, they'll be going having one person as a representative who will going to negotiate the deals of Africa to other countries or to other countries of the world. So this will be easy for the countries to grow, for African continent to African continent matters to be solved. But when you go 50 head of states, you are going to make a deal. You are going to make a deal. Every leader is being given a chance to speak. Some of them are only speaking for 2.5 minutes. And 2 minutes cannot speak or solve your problems. Your problems are consuming your country in several years. How can you go and discuss your problem in 2 minutes and you expect to get a solution? That's not possible. That's not possible. You can't discuss the problem that is affecting your countries in several years, and you want to speak it or address it in 2 minutes, and you expect to get a conclusion or a solution to the same problem that you are addressing. So, real unity will make Africa harder to manipulate, which threatens the global power balance. So ECOWAS often acts under foreign pressure. Originally, ECOWAS, West African states, was meant to promote regional cooperation. So this ECOWAS was created to handle the problem from the West African countries. But what is it doing? ECOWAS, how is it helping the leadership or the problem that is affecting the West African countries? We have experienced a high number of terrorism in West Africa. We have experienced the high rate of drought and hunger, poverty in West Africans. Yet we have ECOWAS, which was assigned there to handle all these problems that is affecting the people from this region. So it is operating following the orders from London, UK, from France. And when these people issued their orders, they cannot order for the positive things towards the people of West Africa, but they will always order negative decisions, which they are sure that is going to destroy the dreams and the agenda of the country from these people, from these regions, so that they keep on coming to manipulate, steal, loot, and take everything. It has intervened against Africans-led revolutionary or Pan-Africanist movements like Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, claiming to restore democracy, but often defending Western interests. So we have seen the leader or the chairman of ECOWAS, Mr. Emada Bio, fighting so hard to make sure that he bring back the leaders who withdraw themselves from ECOWAS, like Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, those military leaders. But again, he's not doing this for the interest of the organization. He's not doing this for the interest of the people from that countries, but he's doing this just for the interest of the France, because the France are the one who are pushing them to do this, because France believes that if any leader or any country withdrew from this organization, automatically they are going to fight against them. They are going to speak the truth. They are going to explain or expose the truth and the secrets that have been hidden for so long, which has been keeping these people to suffer and living under the hardship. So the fear is not about peace, it's about power. A united Africa means Africa-owned industries, African-controlled resources, African-defined education and defense that threatens those who profit from division, exploitation, and dependency. So all this fear from UN, ECOWAS, and other organizations from Africa, which was installed here in Africa, we Africans hoping that maybe it is going to solve our problems, it is going to help us. It was not meant for us, but it was meant for the interest, for the dreams, and for the agendas of the people who are concerned, who pushed the agendas of building this organization to the African soils. So, all their fear is that they're going to lose, because if Africa unites, then Africa is going to own their own territories or industries, whereby they will be using their own resources from their countries they will be taking their resources or their minerals which are in the countries to their own factories or industries and come out with the finished products or finished goods built or manufactured from their own countries, and this will lose the economy or the income from the foreigners who have been believing and depending to African richness, so that they can go and come up with these finished goods to come and sell back to African countries. They fear African defined education and defense. Pierre Lumumba has addressed this for so long. Pierre Lumumba has been addressing this for so long, that all this education system that we're having in Africa was not meant for us. This was a system that was created so that we can get education in Africa, but this education is not meaningful here in Africa. But only if we can go beyond African borders, that's when this education can help us, because we are being trained to be doctors, and our hospitals has no any tools that these doctors can use. We were trained to be lawyers. once we don't have the courts to handle. We were trained to be farmers, and they introduced the fertilizers here to burn up our soils so that we can go and use our knowledges in their countries. So the white man was very clever when he was in Africa as a colonizer. He left Africa, but he left Africa in suspense. He left Africa in need. And all these needs, he believed that he's the only person who can solve and give Africans their needs. So all that he's doing, it's a mind game. It's only for few leaders who are so wise to overcome this. It's only for few leaders who understand the truth and know how to handle this. But for those leaders who are just there, who don't just come to lead, but came to just because of power and greedy, they cannot understand this. That's why they're being used, dumped at the end of the time, and then life goes on. Life continues. Africa continues to remain in a poor situation, and they continue growing and developing. We continue living so I've speak a lot. I've taken off much of your time. Just tell me what you have in the comment section. If you have something to put across, let's make a comment section kindly and really know what do you feel, how do you feel, what do you think about these videos, how do you feel or think about these issues that is today affecting Africa, whereby it is the time we have to wake up, we have to raise our voice and say that no and enough to all that has already happened. Until next time, we come to the same. Thank you very much, and I love you, appreciate your support for you being here each and every time, and be blessed where you're from.